herzlich willkommen zu Wild at Heart, deinem Podcast für Manifestation und herzgeführtem Leben. Mein Name ist Jenny Kobi. Ich bin Life-Coach, Autorin, Speakerin, Online-Kongressveranstalterin und ich habe die Vision, Frauen zu ermutigen, ihr erfülltestes, freiestes Leben zu kreieren. Und zwar aus ihrer Seele heraus. In diesem Podcast mit meinen Gästen und mir geht es daher um sinnliches Alignment, Mutausbrüche, Göttinnen-Energy und die Kunst, radikal für deine Wahrheit zu gehen. Schön, dass du da bist.
You are a prosperity mentor, and I put on my pearls today because of the wealth and abundance that we're going to be talking about. And I'm so excited because, I just think like you're doing the braving process very well that Brené Brown introduced. I don't know if you know the concept, but it's really like showing up authentically online, no matter what happens in your life. You know, you put the things very straight and you don't really hide behind a mask. And I love that. That is like my favorite thing about you. And today we're going to talk about abundance and how to make money, because that's what we desire, you know, as business women, and especially as projectors, we want to do that in a very like authentic way. I want to like dive in a little bit more into being a projector and the relationship with discipline, maybe, and also the receiving channels. And I would like to welcome you, and I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you for having me. I love that we can chat in German and in English.
Yes.
And today we're doing English so that we can spread it far and wide. And we know that lots of Germans speak lots of amazing English too. So
exactly.
I can't wait to share what I know with your audience.
Yes. So it's for all the continents. And first off, I have so many questions that I have written down, but we're also going to do it a little bit more flowy because I feel like it suits our projector being a little bit more. And first off, I would like to, just talk to you about the receiving vessel, because that's a term. I don't know if you have created it or if you're using it, but it's something that really fascinates me because it has to do with the capacity to receive. It has to do with the blocking and allowing of, you know, money flow. And maybe you can, we start there and then we just like, it unravels and we can like dissect it a little bit more. So what, like in your own words, would you say is the receiving vessel when it comes to money and prosperity?
Oh my gosh, my brain is trying to organize because this could be a 10-hour conversation.
I know.
Very easy. So what is a receiving vessel? So this is not my term. This I'm using this from Kabbalistic teachings, where the human is a receiving vessel and the creator is a sharing vessel. And the more we as a human embody the qualities of the creator, the more we become a receiving vessel, ironically. So there's a lot of paradoxes, a lot of opposing thoughts and ideas in this concept, which makes it so complex, but also so beautiful and so practical. So if I want to receive more, and you may have heard this before in other spiritual teachings, if I want to receive more, I have to share more, because the more I share, the more I become like the creator. And sharing is just a general umbrella term. So there's lots and lots and lots of aspects to it. Of course, as a human, we are very complex, but if I want to receive more, I have to share more, because if I share more, I'm more like the creator. So when I'm more like the creator, my receiving vessels are open. Ironically, when I'm giving, my receiving vessels open, and the creator can pour more abundance into me. So the number one block, and there are many, many blocks, of course, because many humans are very different. But the number one block usually for humans is, or for business people too, especially, to think that my clients are the source of my income, which they aren't, which is often why they're holding themselves back from sharing more, because there's this limiting thing of like, oh, but what if I share with them, then they won't pay me, right? Because you're just thinking eye to eye level. I'm just thinking, oh, you are here, Jenny is my client, and if I share with her for free, then she's not going to pay me, right? So if I share, and sharing doesn't always mean for free, by the way, either. Sharing can mean paying, because you have to make sure that a person is invested. So this concept, as easy as I'm trying to make it sound in the beginning, it has lots and lots of tentacle arms. It gets very complex and paradoxical, but that's where I want to start with this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about sharing a lot, like the fear that I observe, and I also had it, like at the beginning, was very much what you described, that if I give too much, and especially as a projector, we're very used to like giving, and then a lot of people, they don't really recognize us and they don't really see us, and so we get bitter and we get like grumpy, because it's not the right energy. So how is the relationship, I mean, obviously it depends on the person and it's very individualized, but how, maybe my question is, how can we not get bitter in like sharing because it's oversharing, or it's too much that we're giving out and then we don't really get something in return? Because that's also something you talk about the ulterior motive when it comes to giving and when it comes to selling. So
yes, and this is the thing, because oversharing is as much a lack expression as not sharing. Because oversharing is, because why? Because people want recognition. They want to be seen. They want validation. They want invitation. So they're oversharing. And that is, again, sharing with an agenda. So, of course, it's going to burn you out, because why do you get burned out, or why do you get exhausted from something, is because you want something from it. If you are unattached and you're giving unconditionally, and again, that doesn't mean unlimited and for free, but without conditions, right? I'm giving to you because I want to give to you, not because I want recognition from you. So it's a nuance, but for projectors especially, it's all in the details, right? This whole talk about being lazy and not having energy, like most of my clients don't have that, right? I mean, there's a lot, and I can share a little bit more about these funny stories later as well, but it's not, most of the projectors that I work with and that I know, they don't have a problem working a lot and putting in the effort, putting in the work, putting in the, the day-to-day. They buy courses, they do things, they read books, they show up, they write content, they make reels, they create programs. They're still in it, even though it's been hard for 3 years, right? But it's not that. It's just the nuances of, why am I doing all the things that the generators are doing and it's not working for me, right? And so for that, in order for that to work, the nuances have to be turned on. And then it's the little ones, that's what I work most on with my clients, is the little distinctions that are so different. Am I giving without a condition? And am I setting that person up for success by charging them also an appropriate amount of money? Or am I giving because I want something back? Is it because I want the money from that person? I want the invitation. I want the recognition, the validation from that person.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer the question?
Yes. And it totally reminds me of like when I create content, for example, and I feel, oh my gosh, like it's such a yummy piece. And of course, I feel also like we can't be, I don't know how you see it, but we can't be too attached to every piece that we put out, like leave the perfectionism behind. But like when I feel yummy about a certain piece of content, I also feel like very potent. And that is something that is, I feel, so important for like projectors to see and like recognize in themselves, their own potency without, being dependent on how other people see them or what other people, will say in the process.
And when you feel that potency, do you feel lack?
No, exactly the opposite, right? Like exhilarated and just like, yeah.
And the truth is, we can't be in that place the entire time, right? I was just, as I was getting ready this morning, listening to a lecture where one of my the spiritual people I listen to, he's not my personal teacher, but he's a teacher of my teacher. He was talking about how sorry, my train of thought went sideways. Where were we?
You were talking about the lecture you were listening to this morning.
Oh, just before that.
We were talking about content and the potency.
Oh yeah, because we're not, it's every day in life has the potential to be the most amazing day where you receive everything that your soul has in store for you. And because we're human, and the condition of being human is the condition that includes lack. So every day the work is to look at what is the lack, grateful for it, because then you can transform it, and then create what we're meant to create, whether it's content or programs or invent something or write a book or create art from that place of, oh, I'm connecting back in, right? I'm feeling the lack, I'm transforming it, and I'm connecting back in. And that's when we feel potent, because we feel like, oh, I just had a little victory over my inner opponent, and now I'm going to share from that, as opposed to, and that's when it is unconditional, that's when it feels good, when we're, coming from abundance and creating miracles, creating transformation for ourselves and the people that we're creating for, as opposed to, oh my God, I really need the money. Let me follow up with these people over Messenger. Let's see how that goes, right? Do you want to buy this yet? No.
Yeah, no, I can feel like immediately I can feel the energy shift like in my body just when you were saying it. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's not like the goal isn't to live in that space of potency the entire time, even though it should be your goal, but it's not the goal, because it's not how it's going to happen. The goal is to, okay, today and every day can be different, right? Some people deal with the same lack thoughts or beliefs or experiences more consistently. And some people, maybe it depends also on the open centers you have and whatnot, how many and which ones. My lack floats around, I could be this person one day, I can have completely different lacks the other day. It's all there, and it's just like, okay, what is showing up today, and what is keeping me, because when the sun is up, when the day is bright, we're meant to share, we're meant to be the light, we're meant to plug in. And then in the evenings, when you shouldn't be working at night, right? On like external, like putting out stuff. I mean, you can, but the primary idea of the evening before you go to sleep is that you're like asking, okay, how did I do today? Where did I mess up? Where was I in lack? Where did I act from lack or react? Where was I not my best today? So that before sleeping, you can clean that up. And so that you don't take it into the dream world. And then in the mornings, after waking up, checking, okay, am I feeling ready to share myself completely, unconditionally, like you said, from that potency? Or do I have a little bit more cleanup work to do? That's what I did this morning as well, before I wrote my content. And then, so that we want to, like, when we show up, because the day as an entrepreneur is kind of our stage, when Beyonce doesn't show up on stage thinking that she's not the greatest of all time, right? Yeah, she does the work before she goes on stage, right? So every entrepreneur should do the same.
And also, I was like, in 2 weeks, I'm going to see Tony Robbins, and I'm still like so fascinated because his routine, like what he does, before he enters the stage, like it's so incredible, even though he has done it for like, I don't know how many decades now, but the way he like jumps on the trampoline and I don't know, his breathing exercises, and he just like gets ready and he gets into this state and, for himself, but also like for the people he is meant to like serve. Right. And I think it's just so, yeah, there's something like so powerful and, just fascinating about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And one of my teachers also says before, and he's a very successful entrepreneur and spiritual teacher. He says, before giving a talk or, going on stage or whatever it is, or giving a teaching, you have to believe that you're the best of all time, right? So really pump yourself up, right? Is probably what Tony Robbins does, like some gorilla pats and whatever, pumping himself up. And then after you're done, you have to believe you're the worst of all time so that you can like go in and so that your ego doesn't become big, right? So after, for the sake of the others, you have to pump yourself up so you can be your best and shine so brightly. And then afterwards, your ego will want to come in and say like, oh my God, you're the greatest. You're the poop, you're amazing. And oh my God, whatever. So then, because the inner opponent isn't just smash talk, right? It's like, oh, you're so good. You did all of this alone. You don't need the creator, or you don't need spirituality. Come on. So after a talk, or teaching, or stage, it's very good if you're just like, okay, where was I not good? What could I have done better? So that you immediately check your ego, right? Especially if you have a lot of Aries placements in your chart, like I have, good ego. That's why I've never had to do any supplements that bigger my ego, like, supplements or drugs, because my ego is plenty fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more like, and here again, depending on who your audience is, like if you're listening to this, it might be harder for you to do that pump up part before and believe that you're actually the greatest. That might be your bigger work, if you have a lot of Libra in your chart, for example. So it's all about, and that's why human design and astrology readings can be so helpful. So you get to know yourself and know like, okay, which of my work is here? Like, am I more on the side where I'm actually strong in my ego, strong in my sharing, but then my ego takes over, which is also blocking abundance, because ego is just the human self and you disconnect from all the creator's channels? Or am I on the side where I don't believe I'm good enough and not worthy, right? And I float between both of them because most of the time we have both in the chart somewhere, but usually one is stronger. So it's good to have readings and know your charts and get to know yourself better on all levels so that you can understand, oh, okay, this is my main challenged area. So I'll go work on that most.
Mm. Mm. And I feel like the people that I work with, we do a lot with like the hips and the lower part of the body. And we see that as a, physical receiving vessel. And that is like so interesting too, to work with the body and include that. And yeah. Now that we're talking about lack and abundance, I want to ask you, because I've also seen in your content that you say, we receive more, or the money flows like in more ways to us when we embody the essence of money. What does that mean? What is like what is the essence of money? How do we feel it? How do we feel that we embody it? Like, what do you mean with that sentence?
So the essence of money, and this is a great question, by the way, because the essence of money is energy. Money is life force energy, and it's the same vibration as the light from the creator. So money is the same vibration as love. Money is the same vibration as all other blessings that can flow into your life, right? So that's why people can create a lot of money flow, but and that could be in their chart, or that could be like their karma is to have a lot of money, but then the lack is showing up in other areas of their life, which means they're receiving just the physical aspect of money, but not the blessings that come with it, right? Probably heard these stories of like an old woman who was a multi-millionaire and still afraid every day to spend money on like splurging on something for herself because she's so afraid that the money will leave, right? That is not experiencing the blessings of money, right? That's why most people want more and more and more and more, because they're not experiencing, they're still living in lack mentality and are afraid that it will go away, right? And then a lot of people have to lose it all and win it back, lose it all, win it back, right? Or their main, I think in this podcast episode, at least, we're speaking a lot more about people who desire to have more money in their life, but the people who have a lot of money in their life without the blessings, the other areas in their life will suffer. So the goal is always to have everything in balance and to feel happy, to feel balanced, to have energy, to have health, to have good relationships, to have or be ready for good love, healthy love relationships. That's not a part of my life right now because I was just moving out of a relationship, so I'm getting ready for the next one. And the money flow, so that's all the blessings. They have the same frequency. So the energy of money, the essence of money is really, again, the essence of the light of the creator. So the more you align yourself, again, with the qualities of the light of the creator, which is sharing, right? The more you make money spiritual, because your soul wants to do spiritual things with money and your body wants to be feeling safe with money. So, but the more you make money spiritual, the more it can spread its blessings into all areas of your life. And the essence of money being life force energy, which we as projectors funnel through our undefined sacral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which might be why we work with the hips,
Yeah. And so you have mastered, I would say, consistent 5-figure months, right? So you have like no resistance, money comes in,
No, I don't.
That's a lie. I know. I know. But it's to me, it's so interesting. The people I work with, they also, they make that kind of money, and they are like manifesting generators, and the way they work or they have like accumulated that kind of money is by like pushing through, being very disciplined, like working long hours and just like pushing, right? But that's not what we do as like not what we're supposed to do as like projectors. So I want to hear like from you, and in like on your success journey, maybe like very shortly, briefly, just the top 3 maybe, you can think of, like what helped you the most to like maybe transform your relationship with money so that this kind of success is possible for you as a projector.
Yeah, and just so you know, I'm also a very disciplined person. So just because I'm a projector doesn't mean that I don't have discipline. I'm a Virgo rising, Virgo North Node, and I have my Pluto in Virgo as well. So I'm very organized, very disciplined. I'm very ambitious, very driven. I just don't have an energy tank available to me like a generator, and that's why often generator types can just go longer without the burnout, but that doesn't mean that they experience the blessings from money, right? Like you say, they can push more towards something easier than us. So for me, the number one thing, when I have my biggest months, I'm ultra disciplined and I am very connected to my spirituality. And so the more I make that happen, the more my money flows. So I have to be very vigilant about my time. My time is a very precious resource. I can always make more money, but how I spend my time is very much a reflection of, the money I make. So like I was a few minutes tight for our call this morning because I had a lot of things that I disciplinedly needed to fit in this morning to make my day work. So stuff like that, right? When I do my consistent, what I talked about earlier, my consistent morning and evening checks, right? What is holding me back today from sharing? When I don't go on social media and create first before I look at what my emails are, who liked my stuff on Instagram, and stuff like that, or check because Facebook and Instagram, they're made to distract you and pull you sideways. So if I go in there before I have connected spiritually, taken care of my body, and created something, then usually my days aren't as productive and I don't feel as good about selling, right? Money comes in when you sell, and you have to feel good about your products, yourself. You have to have all your beliefs in line, right? Even all the spiritual stuff. If you don't create a physical container that the universe can pour the money into, then money is not going to come, because you're signaling to the universe, this shop is closed. There's nothing to sell here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does that answer the question? I know I did a few more than 3, but yeah, those are my top ones.
Yes. In the last few minutes that we have left, I would like to talk about authenticity and content, because I told you that's the way I approached you. I was so fascinating because I know like this year has been quite a challenge, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And you unapologetically like showed up, and I was just so impressed. And I was like, you were going through a hard time. And if you want, you can share a little bit, if you feel comfortable, just, whatever you want to share. And then maybe combine it with like why it was so important to you to still show up. Because normally what you see, on social media is that people promote their businesses. And yes, they share a little bit about themselves, but there's like very often there's this kind of like layer that is still, and maybe it's protection or maybe it's shame or whatever kind of mask they have. Right. And when you were going through these things, I was just like, it was so interesting to see, you were promoting your offers, but then you were also sharing about what's going on behind the scenes. And I felt like a lot of people really like sympathized with you and they felt for you. And I don't know, you just did your thing. So maybe you can like, if you feel comfortable, share a little bit, and also like why you chose to do it that way.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like my first job is always to inspire what's possible, especially for projectors, because there's so much disempowering narrative about what it means to be a projector. And I myself, in my relationship, I was such a victim. I was such an effect of wanting validation, wanting love, wanting recognition. And I wasn't in my power. I didn't know my worth. And so when I knew my worth, when I finally decided I'm going to claim this next level of my worth, I didn't think about it like in a strategic way. It just felt like it's right. Even though I did it now in retrospect, I shared about it in a way that also wasn't empowering. And I was, for the longest time, still feeling that something was done to me. And I was more still in the victim phase, but it was a real phase of my life. It was real that I felt like a victim in my relationship. It was real that I felt disempowered. And that part of life was also keeping my money at a certain level. So now, moving out of it, and if I would talk about it now, or if it happened again, which it won't, because I know now what to not do anymore. But if it happened again, I would share about it very differently, because now I'm in a different level of self-expression and understanding how I'm the cause of things in my life and not the effect. But I think for my viewership and my audience, it's been empowering and helpful to know that, even though I went through a big breakup, I have 3 kids, I have a 20-month-old baby, and I had to go through a move. I'm now a single mom of 3 from 2 dads, and part of me is always like, oh, I see all these perfect families around me and they're married and they have kids, and I'm not like that right now, but I am calling in my next relationship that is aligned with the kind of family that I want to build. And I want to show people that not only can you have the strength to keep serving your clients during that time. But also your business can be an incredible source of structure and holding you up in hard times, because a lot of people.
And your content is glowing, you know what I mean? Like I feel like, something clicked or whatever. And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people in early stages of business, they need to hear this, right? That your business, if you want to be a CEO, if you want to make big money consistently, and big money not for yourself, but because when you make big money, you're helping a lot of people. If you want to help a lot of people all the time and make a lot of money, you're going to be tested, and in your business especially, and in your relationships all the time. And if you decide to stop showing up every time that happens, you cannot have a business, you cannot make a lot of money. And being a 4/6, I feel like the most important thing for me has been to show my community for my 4 line, and be a role model with what's possible, even in hard times, even with no motors defined, So I just feel like that's my biggest obligation, my biggest duty is to show what's possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was, as I said, it's very rare that you see something like that in normally people, and I was like that, I would say. I mean, something like really, something very, I would say something that kind of made me disappointed me in such a dramatic way. That didn't really happen in a long time, but I do remember that, normally I would hide and then I would come back, after whatever, a couple days, a couple weeks, and then, would have my process behind the scenes, and then, come back with a smiley face, with a Heidi Klum smiley face, and
Nothing happened.
yeah, exactly. And that is so exhausting too, right? So I have embraced that too. Like when I have weeks or months that are a little bit slower, or I feel the energy is not there, I still show up. Yeah. And as I said, in your case, I just found that very interesting, because one post, it was about your private life. And then in the next post, of course, you sold your stuff again, but it was not like, oh, look at me, poor me. And then, you're selling and it's like, please, buy from me. Like all of that was just so authentic and just really you. I mean, I don't know you very well at all, but it I could feel it through the screen, that there was no, like you said, agenda. It was really you want to share your heart and this is part of your life, but you also have a business and, you just share everything. And yeah, just in a very real way. And I just love that. Yeah.
And after you said this, it's important sometimes also for us, when we consider again the nuances, right? Yes, we are the motor of our business. If we don't show up, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But also my business isn't me, right? So just because I'm going through something hard, or because somebody doesn't like an aspect of me personally, right? Or thinks certain things about me, doesn't mean I can't help them with my products or my services, right? It's kind of easier a little bit when there's a physical product, right? Or when you offer massage services, right? If I was a massage therapist, I would never think, oh, if somebody knew that I'm having relationship troubles, they will think that my massage won't be good, So, but in this personal development and coaching arena, it's very different, because we are so intertwined with our businesses that it's sometimes a little hard to think, if I'm having a personal issue or a limiting thought or a doubt or a fear, then I can't help anyone, right? So
And
it's
also
just,
they won't see me as someone competent, right? Yeah.
and to an extent, that's true again, too, right? You don't want to be a complete victim in all areas of life. I wouldn't buy from someone like that, right? But yes, I just feel like it was important for me to share at that point. And like I said, if I could redo it, I would share about it differently. I would share more about my side of the story. And yeah, and of course I was also a little bitter still, and I hadn't forgiven, and I was hurting. And so when I, like everyone else, do things from that place, it's not the cleanest energy, right? But sometimes all these things are still perfect because they help us move into who we're meant to become.
Mm-hmm.
So the worst thing you can do when you mess up is guilting and shaming yourself. That's also a big common trap.
Mm. Yeah. And also like the hiding. I don't know. I just, I don't know. Like my message, my slogan in my business is live your truth. Like that's literally the slogan. And it was not what I did. I was like, okay, I'm hiding, whatever. Like I'm going to ghost my community and then I come back and everything is fine. And just, I don't know. Yeah, it's so much more energy that goes out, and now I feel like it's, yeah, as I said, like I use the word potent so often because I think it's very accurate. Like it's together, it's potent, and it doesn't really matter if you have a good day or a bad day, you show up, and then also you see that nothing bad, like there's no bad result. Like people, they don't like you less just because you show up in a sad way, or you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. I think what clients and what money wants to feel most behind a person is the empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And for a projector, the empowerment and in one of my many ayahuasca journeys, this came through early on. It was like the more you listen to your soul, the more powerful you are. And your soul is, of course, also the energy of the creator, right? It's what's closest to the creator. So that's why so many people talk about embodying your divine self or your divinity, right? So, but for everyone, that means something slightly different. For me, I've just combined what I've learned with over working with projectors for so many years with like these principles of the universe and principles of prosperity of the universe. And then when you combine it and pull in your soul for wisdom and for power and for empowerment, then, the money will see, okay, there's a good place there to trust that money into the hands. Because, there'll be still many people who ask them, why are drug dealers so rich and whatever? But they're working in a different paradigm, right? Donald Trump is very wealthy when it comes to money. I don't know how wealthy he is in other areas of life. He doesn't seem very healthy, but, and it's arguable, but just saying those people work in a different paradigm still. And that paradigm still exists in this world because in this world, many different financial and spiritual paradigms exist. Just we as projectors and as we're ushering in this new level, this new, how do we want to call it? I don't know. There's so many different terms for it, like the chart change in 2027 or this new wave of,
Yeah.
letting your individuality guide you to leading your most prosperous life, but by being plugged in with spirituality. And that's why for so many projectors, it doesn't work to try and make money like Donald Trump or a drug dealer, because that's not our job.
Mm.
Our job is to make money spiritually and be an example and show other people how it's done.
Mm. Mm. And I also think it has to do with resistance. Like, how much resistance do you have to actually money coming in? Drug dealers,
Oh, yeah.
they don't really have any resistance. Donald Trump doesn't really have any resistance when it comes to money coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said in the beginning, there are many tentacles to this and many reasons why and where you're not aligning with, being a perfect vessel. So for me, I am always making lists where am I not aligned? And that's my daily work for the day. Some areas I'm like, oh, check. I've got that solid now pretty much in all areas of life. But then there are many areas where I'm doing my daily work, and that's why I'm not at seven figures, but I know why, and I show up for the work every day.
Mm.
So it gets complex, but the overview is simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. To wrap this up, what would you say is your message to like end this beautiful conversation about prosperity and discipline, showing up authentically online? Like, do you have something that, Source is telling you right now, or something that comes to you to leave for us?
Get yourself out of the way so that the universe and the creator can work through you. And that is the work.